Hey guys, and welcome back to another Cultured Boys discussion. I'm Pepe, and as always, I'm joined by Nathan. And today we're talking Spy Family.
Yay!
Yay! So a little bit of backstory. We did a couple episodes, like an episode like a while back, of where I watched Avatar for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. I got through all 3 seasons of it, and I had a good time. So this week we're going to do quite a similar one.
Yeah.
Where Nathan hasn't seen Spy Family before.
Yes.
Granted, though, Spy Family hasn't been out as long as Avatar, so it feels like there's a little bit of a like difference there. But however, Spy Family is one of the like most popular anime series of 2022. Really,
Yes.
it's absolutely massive. But yeah, how are you feeling, Nate? You good?
I'm good. This all came about just because can't remember what episode it is, if it was the Avatar episode or somewhere in between. But basically, Spy Family came up, and when we were discussing, well, what should we do for a future episode, Pepe was like, "Well, you've never seen it, so go off and do that." And I was like, "Okay, cool,
Yeah.
fair enough." So yeah, it's one of the things on my long list of things I didn't watch.
Because like, have you ever been like tempted to watch or read Spy Family before? Like,
From the manga, I wasn't, because I remember when the manga came out, um, in 2019. I remember looking at it and being like, I don't know. Well, maybe I'll give it a go, maybe. But like from the cover, I was like, I was not interested really. Then the anime came out and everyone was like, oh my god, Spy Family. I was like, okay, maybe I'll check this out because maybe it's better than I think it is. And then just how things go, you never get round to actually watching it because you're like, oh, I'll do
yeah.
it later. I'll do it later. And especially because it was like the biggest anime of last year, so I was like, it would be around for ages. I'll catch up when I catch up. You know what I mean? I was like, It's fine. It's fine. It's always gonna be there. It's not like it's one of the ones that is only gonna get a season and then disappear." So I was like, "Okay, that's fine. I'll do it when I do it." Um, and I watched the anime, and what I get it. I completely get it. I watched all
Yeah.
25 episodes.
Oh wow, yeah,
I watched
that's mad.
I legit watched
Jeez.
all of season 1. I finished watching it yesterday. I
Mhm.
actually in a day sat and watched. I basically wasted all of my Friday. I woke up and I just started watching it. And
Yeah.
granted, there was sometimes I walked away just to take a break from watching.
Yeah.
But I basically spent all of Friday afternoon to when I went to sleep watching most of it. I got all the way to I think I finished on episode 18 and then
Oh wow,
I
yeah.
finished the last few on Saturday.
Yeah.
I get it, dude. I get it.
That
I
is
fully
honestly
understand.
I when you said you watched all 25 episodes, I was amazed. Like, because out of all these Cultured Boys things we've done, when I've like said, "Oh, let's watch the anime or something," or we've done an anime review or anything like that, you've never watched really past the first few episodes, which is like nuts. Like,
Well, this one I because it was I think because it's not like it wasn't a rule or anything, right?
yeah, of course,
To
yeah,
when we started doing these, it wasn't a rule to be like watch all of it. You just we were just like intake as much as you want, as much as you like to
yeah.
watch or read or whatever. And
Mhm.
honestly, I went in thinking I'll just watch the first two. I'll do what I normally do, with like an anime review.
Yeah.
I'll watch the first episode or two, see what happens. And like I watched episode 1 and I was like, okay, cool. That was pretty good. I like that. Let's watch the next episode. And then it just kept going. I left it on autoplay and like I just kept watching because I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I like this. This I get it. I get it. I fully
That's
understand why it
sick.
was the biggest anime of last year. And then, you know, whilst I was also taking notes and doing some research in between
Mhm.
episodes, got greeted with the great news of season 2 is coming. And then the even better
Yeah.
news that season 2 is next month. So I was like, sweet.
Is it?
Yeah. Season
Jeez. Oh
season 2
wow.
is
Okay.
airing next month.
That quickly.
Yeah, October.
I'm
It's
surprised. I'm quite surprised because as someone that's caught up with the manga, like I was thinking, like where they ended season one, it was quite close to where wasn't it like after the tennis tournament or something
yeah,
like that? And that's quite far into the manga, so I thought they'd need more source
I don't know,
material
but apparently
to get
season
it.
2, October 6th. or something
Wow.
like that.
Okay.
Early
Fair.
October,
Fair.
yeah. So I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty lucky."
That is
I just
mad.
finished watching this thing, and now it's season two's coming. So cool.
Amazing. Jeez. Okay. Fair. Fair. Right. Okay. Tell me your experience with Spy Family. Because like, who's your favorite character? Like, what did you feel when you first watched the first episode and stuff like that? Like,
So I don't know. I feel like my favorite character changes depending on the episode.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, Obviously I like Anya, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody likes Anya, and I get it.
Yeah.
Like I saw all like Pepe with the Avatar episode. I knew this character through memes and stuff.
Yeah.
So now I've got a bunch of context and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. Like when she does that smirk, like from that episode when she does the orientation at school, and then she's like, I never knew what that was for. I just, when it was
Mm-hmm.
big last year, I just saw this face, this smile, and everyone's like, oh, the Anya face, the Anya face. I'm like, the
yeah.
fuck is this? Um, I'm glad I got context for that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly, I just kind of like the main characters, like this little
Yeah.
family unit. I think they work really well together. The first episode I thought was really good because it started off kind of like, huh, what? Like literally, the start is just some guys in a car, and I'm like, what the fuck? This none of these are the people I know from memes and media. Like, who is this? And then it
yeah.
like, oh, okay. Then it's like, oh, this is Twilight, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Um, I think the first two episodes really sold me very quickly
Okay. Yeah.
because it's like the first episode is sets up Lloyd and Anya like real fast,
Mm-hmm.
really well. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I get what these characters are supposed to be about, and now
Mm-hmm.
I know why they're a family, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously the second episode is where Yor gets introduced, and now I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Now I understand why it's Spy Family, and then it's just like them adjusting, and I do like the sort of balance the series has between like the seriousness of each character doing their thing, like for the success of the mission, the peace of the West and the East, but then it's also like them actually learning to emote to each other and like grow as a little family, but each one of them kind of wants this family to stay together for a different reason, but they're all keeping secrets from each other and yet somehow playing happy little family. So it's like,
it's
yeah,
quite jokes in it. I feel like it's hilarious that, like you said, all of them has their secret. However, Anya knows all of their secrets,
yeah,
which is the just funniest thing. But she has no like context of any of it. She just knows that like her like new dad is a spy, and like, obviously loves was it Bond Man.
yeah.
so she's just like, oh my god, dad's like Bond Man.
Well, that's also like the funny thing is like so convenient that this kid who is a telepath or an empath or whatever they want to call him,
Mm.
right? Telepathic also just happens to like a fucking cartoon called Spy War. So she's just really into spies. It's like obviously for writing everything is very convenient. Like, oh,
yeah,
she's a
yeah,
telepathic kid who likes a spy show.
yeah.
Her new dad's a spy. Her new mum's an assassin. Like, so convenient. But honestly, it's like I felt some of the little comedy bits mixed in with like the shonen kind of action, like this comedy
Mhm.
action sort of sitcom thing. I felt like it worked pretty well.
Yeah,
I was only sort of tired at some tropes, but I think that's just because of who I am now. I'm just like, okay.
yeah. What tropes were they like? What trope?
Yours brother Yuri being the
Oh,
siscon.
oh, okay,
The
yeah,
siscon
yeah,
thing is
yeah.
like, okay, he really loves his sister, will do anything for his sister. Everything to do with his sister, he is just gung ho, 100% positive. But anything to do with someone getting in between them is like, no, not me and my
Mhm.
sister. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah, whatever. But then you get some funny things from it that never got tired of. Like I
Mhm.
got tired of Siscon, but at the same time, Yuri, any animation of you're feeding Yuri something and him eating it and being like, "Oh, it's great, blah, yeah, blah," like that was that was amazing. And I tell you one thing, I didn't
Mhm.
expect to ever get context for,
Yeah.
and I don't know if we ever talked about it. Um,
Mhm.
you never told me that Spy Family opening one is official Hige Dandism mixed nuts. For
Yeah.
years, well, not years, but like for like a year or whatever, Pepe's had
Mhm.
this song on our playlist, and I'm like, it's so random, but I really like this song. Why does it
Yeah.
exist? And Pepe's like, I know. And then I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And they don't actually do the opening in season, like episode one. I'm pretty sure
No,
the
no,
opening is
yeah.
from episode two onwards.
Yeah.
So, I'm sitting there, I've watched episode one, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I recognize that. What is that? What is this? And then I was like, oh, it's mixed nuts. And then everything clicked. I was like, oh my God, that's the context. It's for this show because peanuts is Anya's favorite food,
Yep.
and it's random because she's a 6-year-old kid. I was like, oh my God, everything clicked in place.
I've slowly. I've been playing the long game, Nathan. I was like, this guy's gonna like the opening, so there we go. We'll put that in there. Sprinkle it in there.
Well, it
And
clearly
then-
worked because I've had mixed nuts like on my personal playlist, and I'm like, it's a random song that I play to other anime fans because I'm just like, listen
yeah.
to this random song, isn't it weird? It's called Mixed Nuts. He's singing about mixed peanuts. Isn't it weird and wacky, but it's good? And everyone's normally like, yeah, that's a pretty good song, but why is it about mixed peanuts? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's just like, oh, okay. Now he has the context for everything. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh man,
yeah,
that was one I was not expecting.
yeah.
Seriously,
Oh,
hit me just out of nowhere, left field. I was like, "Whoa, whoa, okay, I get this now." Also, the first ending song is pretty good, and
it's
I had to
comedy by I can't remember who the artist
Gen
is.
Hoshino.
Yeah,
I thought that
yeah.
was Kenshi Yonezu before I looked it up because it sounds
It really sounds. It's got the
it
same
sounds
style,
like a
really.
song he wrote. Yeah, like I was like, it's clearly not him singing, but I was like, maybe he wrote the song. I don't know if he did. He probably
Mm.
didn't, but it was. I was like, it felt like one of his songs.
It really does feel like a Kenshi Yonezu song. Like it really does. Like it's that whole style of it, innit?
Yeah.
I also really like the second opening, the Souvenir by Bumper Chicken. That's a really
Yeah,
good
no,
one.
that one's great. I did also want to
Yeah,
mention that just because it was also funny. I'm like,
yeah.
for ages, me and Pepe have memed or like joked like, haha, Bumper Chicken, what a weird band name. And now I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, actually, that song's pretty legit. That's
it's mad. Like I think they've been around for years and years
oh,
as well. That's why
I've
Bumper
heard of them
Chicken.
for
Yeah,
ages, and I've just
yeah.
never listened to them any of their songs yet. But I'm like, oh, okay, Bumper Chicken, all right,
Yeah, yeah. Like it's mad because I don't think I really got into Souvenir as quickly as I did Mixed Nuts. Um, but like like it's slowly like grew on me a bit more, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. And then obviously I knew Bumper Chicken as well because you remember that Pokemon animation that they did like ages ago.
yeah,
Like it was about like it was summarizing all the Pokemon stories, and obviously Bumper Chicken's song was on that as well. So
oh
like
yeah,
I've
what?
heard that. So yeah, there's a couple of Bumper Chicken songs I know like generally now. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm actually getting into this band quite a lot now. But yeah, no, like the openings and endings of Spy Family are absolutely amazing. Like it's it's one of those where I like you, I don't think I went into this anime expecting too much. I thought, oh, okay, it's a comedy. I like my kind of comedies and
Yeah,
stuff, it is. And I was like, oh, okay, damn, this is actually really good. And I've actually shared it with like a bunch of other friends as well. Like everyone that I know, like that started it, got really into it. Like you said, you've like touched on that, I feel like every single point so far, especially like the mix of the comedy and action in it, I think is really great. Like obviously like Lloyd just fighting, like doing those like kind of like like
yeah.
he when he goes into it, like all like the one that sticks with me is the dog mission.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I'd say
yeah.
dog mission. Like they go out to get a dog, and then like Lloyd ends up being like thrown into like this terrorist like bomb threat situation. And like, and then obviously Anya's there, just she just wants this dog, and Yor loses Anya, and then like what one of the sickest Yor moments for me is I think where like Anya's with Bond and like
Yeah.
they're running through the back streets, and then
Oh,
this
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
terrorist like turns up to be, I'm gonna get you with like his dog, and then Yor just sweeps in and just goes like, "Don't you
What
touch my
yeah.
daughter!" And
Well,
then
that's the
freaking
worst part for that guy because he's like he's even like, "Sorry, kid, no hard feelings."
yeah,
And then she appears, "Don't touch my door," and then fucking hell, man, he that dude bounced like a fucking ball around that
yeah,
alleyway, Jesus.
like.
Anytime she gets mad, Jesus, people
mm.
are bouncing like balls around there, man.
Yeah. Like, I think, like, yours one of those characters where, like, I don't always, like, vibe with a lot of like, with her a lot of the time. I think she is a great character,
She's
probably not my
yeah.
favorite out of the 3. However, like, yours fight scenes are always, like, insane, and that's
See,
what I love about yours. It's so badass.
that leads into one of my gripes though, is that like
Mhm.
she's really badass. She's really cool when she does the stuff in the action, but she doesn't get enough action scenes.
No, I
She comes
agree,
in
like
like it ends as quickly as it starts. Like that,
yeah.
for example, where she pops in, she kicks the guy, he flies, and then that's it. Like, the other guy, the leader,
Yeah.
is like, get her, like he's talking to the dog and he's like, kill her, kill her. She turns around, growls at the dog bolts.
Yeah.
Because like, it shows how fucking scary she is. But like every time she's had a fight scene so far, like like they go right after Anya gets her uniform, they go to the
Oh, yeah.
supermarket, and those thugs are trying to like extort money out of Yor, but obviously she's not having any of it. And that action scene is
Mhm.
just like she breaks a pumpkin with her bare hand. She beats one guy up, pretty much like she takes out two guys, and then that's it. But like, cause she's so strong in this world, I'm like, it's just not enough. It kind of sucks. I want to see more
Yeah.
stuff. Like you don't see enough of her doing anything. Like,
I think it's one of those ones like in season 1, I feel like it's very early days for those characters as well. Like the only thing where they face a challenge is when they're put under certain like limitations. That's
yeah,
the only time when those characters struggle because otherwise, you know for a fact, if those limitations weren't there, they'd be like smacking everyone about. They're like the top of their game, these characters.
that's
Um,
true.
like I think as the episodes go on, because I know I was thinking like, what could they do in season 2? I was just trying to think, and then there are like a couple arcs that you could go through. I did remember like there was like a kind of few things here and there.
Hmm.
But like you do see them like those characters they do face more and more challenges as the series goes on. So like it is good. Like there will be more like fight scenes and like Lloyd and Yor do face tougher enemies, which is good to see.
That is good to see.
Uh
But I mean,
yeah.
like, I've seen plenty of Lloyd
Yes.
doing stuff in season one, and that's not a problem. But it's
Yeah.
just like the other family members are capable of doing stuff, and you see plenty of Anya as well. If
Mm.
anything, you see more
Yeah.
of Anya, you see anyone else, especially towards the second half of season one,
Mhm. Yeah.
which I'll get into my gripe about that. But like,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, I just feel like they haven't quite utilized your enough just yet.
I agree. Yeah, 100% in season 1 I feel there isn't enough your scenes. I completely agree with you there. Yeah.
Um, but to get back to what is probably my biggest personal gripe about
Mhm.
Spy Family season one so far
Mhm.
is the second half, because it came out in two bits, right? 12
It did,
episodes and
yeah.
then 13 episodes. Somewhere in the middle where the first 12 episodes came out and then
Mhm.
the next 13 started, I feel like is where I started to not care as much.
Oh, right, okay,
Because
yeah.
it felt like at the start they established things really well and very strong. So
Mhm.
you do believe like everything this family does, every member of this family is important to this mission. Everything they do is very, very crucial, right?
Mhm.
But then it slowly gets less into like important big missions for
Yeah.
everybody involved to like Lloyd's got another mission on top of this. Anya's still trying to befriend Damien.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yor is trying to be a good housewife whilst also being an assassin in the
Mhm.
background, but you don't get to see her do anything. And
Mhm.
so I just started finding like that the sitcom element got much stronger, as in like, oh, now here's like
Mhm.
the day to day of Anya
Yeah.
being at school and Lloyd's new small mission and you're and Bond are there. And like
Yeah.
it just sort of like as it went on, I was like, I'm still invested. I still want to know what's going on, but I don't feel like I need to pay attention as much because it's like Anya, you need to study. Anya, you need to get these stellars. That's important. Lloyd, oh, by the way, you're spread super thin, but go off and do another mission for us, please, whilst your learns to cook. It's just like, okay, why do literally, it's like describing it like that. I'm like, why do I care?
It does turn very much to story of the week a lot of the time in Spy Family. When they do get into like a chain of like missions or arcs and stuff like that, it does it really well. I can see what you mean, like with the like, because obviously it is trying to find that balance of action and comedy.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's a very similar thing with what Gintama did back in the day as well, in the fact that like they would have massive arcs of like action scenes and it would be like really strong. And then
Hmm.
to go into comedy stuff. Like obviously that is for me, that is my like that's my favorite kind of anime. But I can understand like for you, for example, you're not always into like your comedy stuff and like all the sitcom bits. I can understand why you'd be like, don't need to care as much. And it's one of those things with anime that like if you are establishing an overarching story and a mission, then when you get into those story of the week kind of things, it'd be like, okay, yeah, there's not really too much that contributes to it. Um
Well, it's just also because
I
like they
yeah.
keep saying like, oh, you know, Project Strix or whatever it's called, like
Yeah, yeah.
everything's so important and they keep bringing it back to this point, but then you go and see him do some shit that I'm like, what has this got anything to do with Westerlis and Ostania and finding peace? You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't care. Like,
I
oh,
yeah.
it some episodes make sense, even if I don't care for the episode content itself. Like when
Yeah.
Anya has to go to write a report on what Lloyd does, even though it's all fake. He's a
Yeah.
fake psychiatrist, but it turns out actually he
Yeah.
is still actually pretending to be a psychiatrist. I don't know where he finds the time because he's spying on Anya like every fucking day at school. And he's like, as far as we know, he's taking missions left, right, and center. So where the fuck is he got time to go
Yeah.
to the hospital and actually do this other job? But like that episode, I understand for context. It shows you that yes, he is still undercover and he still
Mhm.
actually does do the cover.
Yeah.
But it is also still just kind of like Anya has to write a report for school. Why is that important for Operation Strix? I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. Or like, fuck. There's some other episodes that are like that where I'm just kind of like,
Mhm.
I get it. It's kind of important, maybe.
Yeah.
Actually, the tennis episode, I didn't get either. I understand the context
Mhm.
because a new character comes up and she's in love with Lloyd, and now it's like the
Mhm.
reverse of the siscon. Now it's like the kohai that's in love with the senpai,
Yeah, yeah.
and she, she's a tsundere because she's like whatever. Well,
It
actually,
did
I don't
feel
know what kind of dere she is. She's not tsundere.
nah, it's like is it no, it's not really yandere, is it? Like,
I
I don't
feel
know.
like it might be though because it's like obsession, so it's close to
It
yandere,
is
right?
yeah, I guess so, but it's like kinda like she keeps it hidden. Obviously,
Yeah,
she's a spy,
she
so
doesn't
does
do
it well.
anything like detrimental yet.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. This is Agent Nightfall, by the way. I just realized we didn't actually mention the character's name, I don't think.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Nightfall or Fiona,
yeah.
something. I forget.
Yeah, I think it's Fiona. I think you're right,
No, it's
Fiona.
Fiona, but I forget the surname. There's some sort of
Oh,
like
yeah,
it's alliteration. It's FF
yeah.
Fiona
FF.
something. Shut up. It's a World Series. But yeah, that's just my little gripe about like my personal gripe about half a
Yeah.
season two, not season two, half
Mhm,
a season one is yeah, it just didn't feel as important as they keep
mhm.
making it out to be.
Yeah, yeah. I think like that's one thing with it. Like obviously the overarching story is that like obviously like Twilight Lloyd is wants to get closer to like obviously Damien's dad and actually trying to get like more
Yes.
info on him and stuff. So it is like it does feel like it's baby steps getting towards that final mission. But like it's still fun. Like that's one thing. The journey along the way is still, I still feel like it's a really good series in that
Oh,
sense.
it
Like
is, and there's
yeah,
so many great moments I've noted. I've noted down a few things here and there because I'm just like, it was just things that I was like, oh man, that was pretty funny, or like just like observations.
one of the things I wanted to bring it back to one of our previous episodes, the Kindergarten Wars
Yes.
episode, is the fact that like Rita always had those like those throwaway like reaction looks
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
like she's just like
This series is great for that.
Anya is just like one of the best comedy characters ever in my opinion, just
Oh,
because just the range of emotions that she portrays when she's just mind reading people or like when she's like thinks she's being sneaky is so good.
the thing is, like, when I heard about Spy Family beforehand, all I ever heard
Hmm.
was Anya.
Hmm.
People rarely ever spoke about the other characters
Yeah.
because I, I mean, I get it. Anya kind of steals the show. It's as much as it's about the family. At least in season one, a lot of it is really more focused on Anya.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Um, and I completely get it. She's really cute as well. Like,
Yeah.
and there are a few episodes I didn't note down like specifics, but like there are some times where she like genuinely says something like sad or something. And
Yeah.
you're like, it does really get you in the feels. Like it pulled at my heartstrings a little bit. And I was like, oh man, this poor little
Yeah.
anime girl is it's so sad. It's so sad.
Yeah. My my favorite thing is that it keeps coming back throughout the series, is that, she can obviously mind reads people,
Yeah.
and, like, she hears things from Lloyd, and she's like, "Oh, cool, like, he does this," and then she tries to repeat it, but she gets it completely wrong, and everyone's like, "What are you on about? What
Yeah.
did you just say?"
It's funny because like the subtitles are pretty good for like translating that she's a kid who's mispronouncing things. Like she never actually says forger, she says horger because like
Oh, right.
in Japanese, like the F sound is halfway between F and H. So it's not
Ah,
like
yeah.
fu or who, it's more like somewhere in between. So you're like a who.
Mm.
So like for her, it's funny because she's got some sort of kid speech impediment, I guess. So she's
Yeah,
always saying
yeah.
things like horger or ooting instead of outing,
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
like she just like mispronounces words. Like she never actually, the subtitles never actually have her say thank you properly. It's always like thank
Mm.
you or something like, because again she is like 6 and she's been an orphan for ages,
Yeah,
so like she's
yeah.
just tried her best to learn whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, Pepe's right. There's so many like the actual report episode was also pretty funny at the end because she's like taking down notes, but she's also mind reading him when he's saying like thinking of spy things. So there's like my dad is a s- mental specialist. He helps people. He wants to help people with in the war, and everyone's like, "Oh, great!" And like her housemaster Henry Henderson of Dorm 3, he's the best
Mm.
because he does the
Oh,
Japanglish.
yeah.
He's like, you know, "Sasuga Roid Forger Eriganto."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Sometimes he hits his patients and his workplace is great. They give you snacks." And everyone's like, is that code for bribe? Like, and now she's just made the impression of him worse because
Yeah.
she's like mind read and taking notes at the wrong time.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
stuff like that is hilarious.
you're so right. I think that cracked me up where he's like, sometimes he hits his patients,
Yeah,
and then they're like, "Oh shit!" It's their reactions to it. Like, it's
but
so good.
it's all like the little things as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's so cute. Just whenever she's like waku waku, because she's like, oh,
Oh yeah.
excited, waku waku, and then she's it's always whenever she gets money, she's talking to her friend Becky, and it's like, "Oh yeah, we could buy this, or you can get a reward or something." She's like, "How many peanuts can I get?
Yeah.
Like, how many?" Like, she goes shop. There's an episode she goes shopping with Becky, and it's all just about them building their little friendship, which is so
Mhm.
wholesome. It's very nice. And then
Yeah.
it's Lloyd wants her to be friends with Becky because Becky's parents are like important, and then
Mhm.
he just gives her a wad of cash And one of the first things she says to Becky is, "How many peanuts can I buy with this?"
Yeah. It's like she has her priorities. That's what it is. Like, she knows what she likes, and she's like persistent on it.
But it's also actually thanks to Spy Family. I now know roughly where my Japanese comprehension level is.
Oh, right, okay.
Because for the first 12 episodes, anytime Anya spoke, I could
Mhm.
actually listen to the Japanese and I wouldn't need subtitles. I actually
Ah,
understood
okay,
pretty
yeah.
much like 90% of what she said just by
Right, okay,
listening.
yeah.
But so I was like, oh, okay, cool. I understand Japanese to the level of a 5 or 6 year old. Yeah. But it's also like, as funny as it is, I'm like, that's pretty handy to know, you
I
know?
get that though. Yeah, 'cause I mean that's quite jokes that you've actually been able to understand it, like that whole thing. I didn't think it'd be like that in depth. Like I thought, like when it comes down to anime characters and that, like obviously like toddler speak or like young kid speak,
Yeah.
I would have thought like, oh, technically it's still the same, right? Because they can still form sentences and stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
any adult. It's just like obviously you just wouldn't be as like I don't know, like in depth, I guess. But no, that's jokes. Though. Okay, fair.
Well, it's just because, like, in terms of like vocabulary and stuff, it's easier.
Hmm.
Like, if you're studying, it's easier to understand the kids because they use the much simpler words.
Yeah.
So it's like
Okay.
definitely things I would have probably read or something whilst I was studying. Whereas like some of the other characters, I'm like, if I am not reading subtitles, I do not understand what they're saying because I don't know what that word is, or I've never
Yeah,
heard that
okay, it
word.
goes into
Whereas
it.
like because Anya is a kid, I'm like, okay, I've definitely probably heard this word from like an anime, a movie, a song, a game, or something. Like I've definitely heard the kind of words a kid would use. So like it was quite useful.
It's not as like a broader
Yeah,
vocabulary, I guess, with it. Yeah,
it's
that's what I'm
much
saying.
simpler Japanese. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. At least I could do that. But
Yeah.
can I ask? Did you also find it strange that despite everything that's happened, right?
Yes.
Even when they agree to do this like sham marriage, right?
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
is neither Lloyd nor Yor questioning each other more than that?
It
She
is I think yeah, it's so true. Because he just says, "Oh, yeah, like, I know it's forward, but, like, will you marry me?" and stuff like that, and like, all this
But
kind
that's
of stuff,
also
or
with a
what
grenade
or be
pin.
like
He
Yeah.
uses a grenade pin as a fake ring. He's
Yeah.
She believes him when he says, "Oh, these are my patients. I'm using concussive therapy." That's where Anya gets it from later because Yor brings it up.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
like, there is a certain level of believability, but this
Yeah.
psychiatrist, quote unquote,
Yeah.
is fully taking out these guys. This this
Yeah.
clerical city hall employee that
Yeah.
you're sham marrying, right? She is fully kicking the shit out of people. She is making people bounce off the floors and walls like
Yeah.
they're rubber. And you don't want to question that at all. And she's just like,
Y
oh, I just did some training when I was a kid. My brother taught
Yeah.
me. Excuse me?
Like
She is
y
full on catching things with her feet before they
Yeah.
hit the ground. And you're not questioning any of that. As a spy? A master
Y
spy? What?
is I mean, I think it's because it's so convenient for the both of them. They're overlook like that's like that is trying to be trying to give the simplest answer. Like maybe they're overlooking things.
Yeah,
However, it is so true. Like you would question the shit out. Both of them would question the shit out of everything. That
exactly,
like
right? Like,
yeah
because again, like Pepe said earlier, these people are supposed to be on top of their game. They're supposed to be the best of the
yeah
best. She's an assassin and he's a spy. He definitely should be questioning more, and she would definitely be more on edge because no way a psychiatrist is doing any of that, and there is no way a regular desk jockey is doing any of that.
I think with your, it's kind of a bit more believable that she'd believe Lloyd's
Okay,
psychiatry stuff.
yeah,
I feel
maybe.
because she's a little bit more gullible when it comes down to it, but like obviously she's also blind by the fact that I need to find a husband, otherwise they're gonna find out that I'm a assassin or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well,
And
yeah.
look, yeah, it was kind of like that, innit? I can't remember the exact like
I
intricacies,
think it
but
was just she didn't want to get she didn't want to
yeah,
get taken in by the secret police just because she's a
yeah,
woman
yeah.
who's 27 and unmarried. That's it.
Yeah, which is jokes. But it's Lloyd's one is a bit more like, okay, hold on, what? Why aren't you questioning that a bit more? Yeah, Lloyd's one is a little bit
And the
harder
thing
to
is, like,
explain.
Lloyd's one is really hard to explain because there are some episodes where he's like, "Is she a spy?" And he
Yeah,
does
yeah,
little tests to be like, "Oh,"
yeah,
especially when he's like, he figured out that Yuri's lying to his sister. Like, he's not just
yeah,
from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Like,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
figured out he's secret police, and he's like, he does these little tests, and he does question her a little bit. He doesn't fully trust her, but at the same
Mm.
time, I'm like, Twilight is portrayed as this amazing spy who's on top of everything. That's why he's the absolute best they have. Yet this man is living with this woman who is superhuman physically,
Yeah.
and he is not questioning that, really.
No,
He's not digging
he
into the right parts of the question. He's like, is she a spy? Is her brother a threat? These are valid questions for him to ask. And yet he doesn't question why this woman is so physically strong, and is she actually a danger? Is she really playing the long game and a danger to him and Anya? You know what I mean? Like, it feels like he's dodging the one really important question, but I guess because you're right, it's like convenient. Right now, she seems to love the family, so like,
yeah.
who cares if she's gonna use her strength to defend us? Then it's whatever, innit?
Because like in like realistically, Yor and Lloyd were kind of a little bit like brought together by Anya as well, and obviously Anya wants like Lloyd to have his mission like become successful,
Yeah,
basically.
well, because of her stupid
Yeah,
cartoon, and she sort of
yeah,
understands from things, but she's always
yeah.
a like world peace.
It's quite the wholesome thing as well that she loves the idea of having a family because obviously she was in the orphanage before then.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like it feels like obviously she wants them to stay together for certain, like obviously because
yeah,
like
it's
she
her family.
feels more than anyone that that is her family. Like she has like the strongest connection between all of them, and it's like it's quite cute in that whole thing. And obviously, like Lloyd does start to question Yor every now and then, but like he also gets to the end. He's like, "Oh no, I'll just let this go." Like
Yeah,
she's like whatever, like, and it's quite wholesome. Like you do see Lloyd and Yor do get closer as the episodes do go on, and
yeah,
like
that
I
is
don't know,
true.
hopefully by the end, I feel that I really do want this unit to stick together. I don't want them to be
I
like, "Oh,
feel like
mission's
that's
over,
where it's
Lloyd's out."
going though, right? Like, I feel like
I
it's
really hope so. Yeah,
at least as a right now, based off what I've seen, it feels like that it'll maybe get to like, oh, okay, we achieved success, the mission's done, or maybe it's not, and then they do something that fixes everything, and then Operation Strix is
yeah,
done. But like by this point, they spent so much time together. I'm hoping again. I think
yeah,
I'm just being very hopeful. Well, I'm just kind of
yeah,
hoping that it's like, okay, we don't need spies anymore.
yeah,
We don't need assassins anymore, and they're all just like, okay, well, now we're just the forgers. Like, this is our real actual life now. There's no more, no need to fake anything. Like, no need to whatever. I am just a psychiatrist now. Your is just a
mm,
clerical assistant at City Hall, and we're all just a happy little
yeah.
family.
I feel like I feel like it just needs to end with them together. Like I think if it ended with them all separated, that'd be the most upsetting ending for this series, like possible.
I
I feel.
I would be very mad.
Yeah, considering like you've got so accustomed, like like this family unit is so lovable. To get rid of that would be like an absolute travesty.
Yeah, I mean, and the family only grows. Like they got Bond now as well, so it's like.
Yeah, Bond's so cool, man. I love Bond. That is just a massive dog.
It's it is kind of just funny. You just have this
Yeah.
like this just have this clairvoyant dog. He sees into the future, but at like different intervals, and it like he's from that episode with the terrorist plot. So
Yeah.
like, he shows Anya important things. But then now it's just like, "Yay, we're having Hamburg steak for dinner." Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
But I love that. I just love that it just comes in useful like from time to time, and then it's just like, yeah, this is a thing.
I mean, that was also great because it's like Anya was supposed to have done something important. I don't even remember what it was, but it was just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, Bond, you need to help me," and it's like, Yeah, we're having dad's hamburg steak. Wicked. Oh, how did you know? Did you look in the fridge? And then it's just like she goes to bed after that, and it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
What else?
Oh man, it's so I don't know, like the whole series in general is just it is so freaking cool. You could like you said, Dave, you can see why it was like the biggest anime of last year, like one of the biggest anyway. Yeah, I feel like there's supposed to be a Spy Family movie as well out
Yeah, I
at
didn't
some
watch.
point.
I didn't
Yeah,
watch. I I didn't know if it was available anywhere online to
I
watch.
don't think it is out yet. I don't think so.
Is it not? I don't know.
I don't. Well, I feel like they. I don't know, like stuff like Crunchyroll probably would have made a bigger deal out of it if it was. I think they
Yeah,
announced it.
probably.
Like, I think the like, last like Anime Expo or whatever one of those like cons were. They announced a lot of the stuff then.
Okay.
But yeah, like I didn't even realize season two is coming that quickly. That is so cool though. Like,
Again, I wouldn't have even known if I hadn't just like been doing
mm,
research. So like I went, going on a bunch of the like standard websites or whatever, just because I was trying to find like when the anime aired, who is it animated by, like when the manga came out, stuff like that. And then it was like, oh yeah, season two's coming, and then it was like season two is coming out in October, and I was like, fuck.
yeah,
Oh okay.
October 7th, which is absolutely nuts. Like,
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. So it's like really convenient, at least for me, as a new
yeah,
fan. I just finished watching it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Wait like 2.5, 3 weeks. I'll have season two as well now. Wicked.
it's one of those things as well. I will say, like I'm kind of up to date with the manga. I think I'm a few chapters behind, like only like about 5 or 6.
Mhm.
So it'd be like I can easily catch up in a day. Um, but like I will always watch this anime as well. I feel like the animation quality in this is
Oh,
great.
it's
Like
great. It's so good.
yeah, everything about this, like the anime is great, the openings, like the manga's great. Any form of Spy Family, if you haven't watched it already, like need some recommendations, like to push yourself, see it. Definitely see this or watch
Oh,
it or
for
read
sure.
it, whatever.
For sure.
Like it is such a good experience, honestly.
Also,
Like
I can say, you don't need Crunchyroll Premium. I actually watched it
oh
all on
yeah,
Crunchyroll, all of season one, but you can watch it for free. Like it's not behind a
yeah,
paywall, so you can just watch all of that.
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. There we go.
Also, if you need more, then there's also that game that got announced recently. I don't know when that's coming out. I didn't pay attention at the time because I hadn't watched Spy Family yet. But if you want, and it's one of those like chill, like feel good kind of games.
Yeah, it's like summer festival, not summer
Yeah,
festival, but like kind of
and like
like
summer
you're
summer
mainly
vacation kind of thing. Like as a Japanese kid, you're just supposed to make like happy little memories. Probably like catch bugs, fish, and all sorts.
yeah, because it's like it's one of those ones where you're like solely from Anya's perspective, from what I can
Yeah,
gather. This literally got like the time of recording. The direct was on Wednesday, Thursday,
yeah,
and literally, so it's only been announced for a few days for us. And I believe it's out in 2024. They haven't given a specific release date for it. Um,
fair.
but yeah, like it looks like a summer vacationy kind of thing where you're just going around making a book report by the
I
sounds of it,
think
like or
something
some
like
sort of
that. It's
report.
it's
Yeah,
literally what it's just called Spy Family or Spy on your Operation Memories or something.
it does sound like yeah, Spy Anya is called. It doesn't say a release date. I still think it's the 2024.
Yeah,
But
probably. But yeah,
yeah,
it got announced. There's more stuff. Like Pepe said earlier, there's a movie.
never would have expected that to even come over to the West either. Like I know Spy Family is a big game and stuff, but like big series even. But like I would never expected that kind of game to even like come over. But like I guess they know the success of it. So
I don't know. I feel
like
like they nowadays everything we knew is kind of different now. I feel like
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of these like companies like Shueisha or whatever are starting to realize like, oh, actually, what we knew from the past is not so much a risk
Hmm.
anymore. Like selling anime stuff or anime related things overseas now isn't as risky as it used to be because
Oh,
it
absolutely, yeah.
sells gangbusters. And sometimes in some products or whatever, some launches, it sells more in the West than in Japan. Sometimes
Yeah.
it
I
doesn't
mean,
happen super often, but sometimes it does.
it's good to see that like Spy Family does have that global appeal now. So it's like and it's great. Like it clearly does because it's obviously the memes are everywhere. Like
Yeah.
biggest one of the biggest animes of the year last year. Like yeah, like it just shows that like it's great to see that support for it basically.
Plus, it's got to be pretty good because I'm not normally really into the like sitcom-y, more sitcom-y
Yeah.
animes, and like this sold me. I watched the whole season of it. I spent a day and a half watching this anime. Like,
Yeah.
if that doesn't sell it, then I don't know what does.
Nathan, I'm so glad you enjoyed it, man. I like that.
I I
Uh,
I super enjoyed it. Plus, they threw in a fucking unspoken, like a quick Dragon Ball reference. Like, how else are you? You know that definitely win me.
what was a Dragon Ball reference?
So you know in the dodgeball episode, when 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 they're going up against that massive six like 6 year
Like
old Bill
Bill, yeah, Bill
and
Watkins or whatever the frick
yeah,
his name
Bill
is.
Watkins, and he's doing like a special move. He's throwing the ball at Damien, and
Yeah.
Damien sees it as he's Goku stopping one of Frieza's like death balls, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden he's just standing in Namek, and there's this massive
Yeah.
ball in front of him, and he like sticks his hands out. It's very quick. It's like 2 seconds
Yeah.
in that episode, but I was just like,
Yeah.
Dragon Ball reference, love it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, God, it's got
I was hoping for
amazing.
more because, like, it's a bunch of 6-year-olds playing dodgeball. So the analogy of doing a Dragon Ball reference would have been great because every time they throw the ball, some of them, like Damien, had a bunch of special moves.
Yeah.
Like these kids came up with
Yeah.
special moves and they had names and
Yeah.
stuff. So it was like, more like other anime references where they do like energy beams and stuff could have been pretty cool. I did also love the anticlimax of Anya in that episode.
Oh right. That...
Yeah, where she's the last one standing and she's like, "It's time for my special move," and they show her training with Yor, and she does
Yeah.
everything. Like she does the step forward. She's like, "Twist your body," and she's like, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like Stellar
Yeah.
Star Catch or something
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
it's got all this epic animation, but she lobs it straight at the ground and then it bounces and rolls over to Bill. And he doesn't even do like a real special move. You just see this
Yeah.
hulking massive kid and it's like a little like wrist flick.
Yeah.
And then the ball just like smacks her in the head. Not hard, but like a little
Yeah.
bounce.
Just
and
like a
it's
little
"Ugh."
bounce. Yeah. Yeah.
It was such an anticlimax, but I was like, it was fucking funny.
It's so
That
good.
was
Like,
so good.
it hits all the comedy points so well in this series, man. Like, oh, but yeah. I feel like, yeah, we're coming to the end of the episode though, Nathan. Like clearly you've enjoyed it.
I love
Like,
it.
it's great to hear.
Loved it.
Yeah, I've obviously been a big fan like for the past year as well myself. And yeah, all we can say is definitely like if you haven't watched it, give it a shot. Like I'm sure you'll absolutely enjoy.
You should have a great time.
But yeah, like if you don't, I'd be very. I don't know. I feel if you don't like Spy Family, like I'm not gonna say oh like you have no taste, but
But it's implied. It's heavily implied.
Yeah, it's heavily implied, and
I mean,
we'll question you. We'll question
we
you on
will.
that.
And again, like, come on, man. I feel like a lot of these over the years, listening to us do these anime things, I'm a pretty
Yeah,
like harsh critic. I feel like sometimes,
yeah.
and even I watched
Mhm.
the whole season. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Nah, like yeah. We're just gonna say you got something wrong with you. You don't like Spy Family. Anyway, thank you for listening, guys. Yeah. Let us know your thoughts about Spy Family, how you got into it, all that jazz. We'd love to hear it. But yes, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell button for more Cultured Boys notifications when we release a video. It's every Sunday anyway, so you know. But yeah, click links in our description. We've got links to Twitter, all the podcast platforms. They're there. And yeah, we'll see you next time for another Cultured Boys episode. Bye.
Bye.